Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Good Sunday afternoon. Quick reminder that there's going to be a draft after show tonight, later today on my channel. Should be a little after the Sea Dragons game, which starts basically now. So if you're interested in seeing me and Brandon of the Hawk's Nest wrap up everything that happened in the draft on day 3 yesterday, then come on by. Should start at about 3:30. Should go for a few hours. Should be done by the time the Kraken start, and we'll see how we ended up feeling about day number 3. Hope to see you there. Okay, so now we're going to do the defense, the depth chart on the defense, and this is the area where there was, I think, a little more obvious. There was a little more of an obvious need of help because we were so destitute on the defensive line, and we did some things to address our needs on the defensive line. So let's start with the defensive end position here. The way I see it, Draymond Jones and Jaron Reed are still your starters. Not that it matters that much who your starters are, but I do think they are the starters. And I'm bumping Miles Adams over here. No particular reason why, just doing it just because. And I'm going to add our new interior defensive lineman, Mike Morris, as the left defensive end. Um, we've already told him to keep bulking up. He's already apparently like 290, 295 anyway. So there's no worry about us trying to use him as an edge player. We are definitely trying to utilize him as a um, bigger space eating defensive lineman. And I believe that it can work in that capacity. Now, that was the only guy that we drafted to be a 3-4 defensive end. But there are a couple other guys in UDFA that are worth talking about, at least briefly here. And I think that the most exciting of them is probably Jonah Tavai, a San Diego State guy who has ridiculously high production over the last several years. So, question is, do you like him more than Miles Adams? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I do think he has a chance to make the active roster. So I'm actually going to go ahead and throw him here for the moment. Joseph Tavai becomes your 5th defensive end. I'm going to go ahead and put him in yellow because, again, it's questionable. He's a UDFA rookie. You're going to have him on your 53-man roster at the start. That's questionable. But I'm going to go ahead and put him there as our 5th defensive end. And in terms of obvious guys who are obviously here meant to be a 3-4 end, the only other guy I really have would be Jordan Ferguson. So I'm going to go ahead and put him on the practice squad for now and see if I end up having to demote him before this video is over. So that's how I see things rounding out there. Now we have nose tackle. And nose tackle, I feel like Cameron Young is our number 1 guy right now, unless Monet gets back. And even if Monet gets back, I think that Cameron Young may very well be the number 1 nose tackle over him. We drafted him. This is the role he played for a decent chunk of time in college. He was a zero tech, so that works. And then backing him up, I'm actually going to be bold here again. I'm going to say Robert Cooper, the UDFA from Florida State, who we clearly like because we had him in for that top 30 visit, ends up becoming our backup nose tackle. Again, it's not amazing. We are talking about a UDFA rookie, but I like him, and I think this team really likes him too. So I'm going to say he's the backup. And then the only other nose tackle that we have would be the Ifeanyi Maji, who I believe will either make the practice squad or not, or get cut. So let's put him on the practice squad for the moment and see how things ultimately shake out when we're done. Um, Outside linebacker, the edge, the Nwosu, Mafe, Taylor, Robinson area. So, first of all, I think we're getting Chris Garrett out of here. I don't think there's going to be any room for him. I think that's pretty obvious. And I cannot shake the feeling that we're kind of out on Tyreek Smith. He didn't play at all last year. He's already got bad hips. I didn't like him that much in the first place. So, wasn't a big fan of any of that. Now, so I'm going to put him on the practice squad for the moment, but that's largely as a placeholder. I kind of feel like we might be done with him completely, but we'll loop back around on that momentarily. So Alton Robinson gets bumped to our 5th edge. I'm going to go ahead and say that he's pretty solid in that capacity. And Daryl Taylor is going to be the backup to Nwosu, and Mafe is going to be backed up by our new edge, Derek Hall. Derek Hall Clearly going to be worth playing at least some snaps in his rookie year. So I don't think we bury him behind a bunch of different guys. I think he becomes part of the rotation. Nwosu, Mafe, Taylor, Hall. That's how I see it right now. Alton Robinson might stick around and pick up the loose snap here and there or play special teams. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if he ended up going down to the practice squad or getting cut completely. I'll leave him on for now because this team likes him enough to have kept him around for a couple years now. But it wouldn't shock me if Tyreek Smith and Alton Robinson were both trimmed to make room for the guys that we did bring in. All right, so that's outside linebacker. There's MJ Anderson, who we brought in as a UDFA, but I don't believe he's going to take anyone's roster spot or even make the practice squad. I didn't really see anybody else at this point, so I'm going to say we are pretty good there. So now we do inside linebacker. I think the top stays the same. Bobby Wagner and Devin Bush are your starting linebackers as of now. Now, we didn't draft anybody at the linebacker position, so there isn't a whole lot to add here. And I'm going to maintain my belief that Jordan Brooks is going to miss at least part of the season, maybe even the whole season. So I can only really look at the UDFAs. And the UDFA linebackers we picked up included Cam Bright, Michael Ayers, and Patrick O'Connell. I don't really see any of those guys being 53-man roster worthy. And I say that as a Huskies fan. So I think that all you can really do right now is bump up Radigan and bump up V Jones and just hope things work out. I'm going to put Onu Giogu back on the practice squad for now. And yeah, you're just going to have to roll with it. And it's going to be uncomfortable. You may end up having to go to Nick Ballore to play some linebacker this year. But that is the kind of destitute situation we find ourselves in at inside linebacker, and we're just going to have to live with it for this year. This team was always going to have to leave some positions of weakness. There was not enough going on this offseason to address all of our holes. We addressed a lot of them, but this is definitely an area where we have a problem. We have no depth here, or at least very, very thin depth. Okay, now we're going to do cornerback. We got outside cornerback, Woolen, Jackson, Trey Brown backing up Woolen, and then I had Isaiah Dunn as like a backup cornerback. Obviously, Isaiah Dunn not going to be able to stick around now, and Michael Jackson's getting demoted because I don't think I need to tell you guys who's going to be promoted here. Little doubt in my mind that Witherspoon is going to be a day one starter at the cornerback spot opposite Woolen. And by the way, actually, I think I have these reversed. Woolen should be on the right, Witherspoon should be on the left. But whatever. The point is that Woolen is going to start alongside Witherspoon. Trey Brown and Mike Jackson will try to find their luck somewhere else. But for the time being, they are backups. They might play some reps at safety. They might try to play slot a little bit. They'll try to figure it out. But as of right now, I think they are backups. Were there any cornerbacks that we picked up in UDFA? Yes. Guys like Ty Okada, guys like Mo Osling III, Arquan Bush, James Campbell, Lance Boykin, but I don't believe any of them are 53-man roster worthy based off the information that I have right now. I do think probably one of them ends up on the practice squad. I'll just guess and say Lance Boykin, but treat it like a placeholder rather than something I'm holding super firm to. So I'm going to say that is our crop of cornerbacks on the outside going into the season. And then we have slot cornerback, and things get a little bit interesting here because of some of the picks we made that may offer us some flexibility in this regard, namely concerning Jarek Reed. So Jarek Reed, according to the Seahawks, is going to be looked at as a safety and slot corner. And that being the case, you might be able to say he would end up more of a slot corner role because we probably have a bigger need there than we do at safety because we're so deep at safety. But I don't think Jarek Reed makes the roster. I think he ends up as a UDFA. I'm sorry, a cut, and hopefully he gets through to the practice squad. So I'm going to put him on the practice squad for the moment, and I'm going to say that's our arrangement at slot corner. We have some other defensive backs on the UDFA list who may end up as a slot corner, if anything, in the NFL. But I don't see any of them making the roster anyway. So, oh, and by the way, Witherspoon may end up playing some slot corner on nickel plays, by the way. So don't rule that out either to free up guys like Julian Love to play a third safety role in those situations. All right, so now we get to safety, the actual safety spot, and you've got Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs starting, and we didn't draft anybody at the safety spot except for Jarek Reed, who I decided to throw on here as a slot corner. But there were a couple of UDFAs, like Jonathan Sutherland, who was a special teams ace at Penn State. And that's a guy who may very well end up making an impact on this team. But for the moment, I am going to say that he's more of a practice squad type than somebody who we're going to have on the team day one. There was also Christian Young, but I don't see much with him. So I'm going to go ahead and put Jay Sutherland on the practice squad list for the time being to be one of our practice squad defensive backs. And then you have Joey Blunt kind of acting as the pure backup safety. And I think that's really about all you can say about this group. It's pretty deep, pretty solid. Remember, there is a lot of flexibility here. Trey Brown may end up playing safety. Julian Love is a safety. Kobe Bryant might end up at safety. You've got flexibility here beyond what just shows on the depth chart. And then all you have left is special teams. We didn't draft a kicker or punter or sign any UDFAs, so nothing to say there. The only thing is, currently, the only long snapper we have on the roster is Chris Stoll, the long snapper for Penn State. So I guess we're going to put him there. I suspect that he will get let go, and eventually we're going to bring in one of our previous long snappers from the last few years. But until it happens, I guess he's a placeholder. And that actually puts us at exactly 53 players on the roster. So we ended up doing pretty good on that front. Now, we are a couple spots over on the practice squad, so you're going to have to dump probably two of these guys. I imagine Herbert goes because he's a fullback. And then I'm going to say, breaks my heart a little bit, but I'm going to say Joey Hunt. I'm kidding, by the way. It does not break my heart. No, it doesn't break my heart to see Joey Hunt go, but I think at that point you have your practice squad of 16 players and you have your 53-man roster. That's how I see it shaking down as of right now. And everybody else who I didn't mention in this video, everyone else who didn't get a specific mention on this chart is going to get cut. All right, let me know what you guys think. Hawks Nest stream coming later today. See you guys soon. Go Hawks. Let me know if you see it a different way.